Let's start with the hard medical facts. A 51-year-old man stumbles into a Canadian hospital. He is violently nauseous, slipping in and out of consciousness, and completely disoriented. The doctors check his vitals, and the numbers are alarming. Look at his lab results over that first week. He sheds 10 kilograms in days. Simultaneously, his white blood cell count plummets into the red danger zone. The most disturbing symptom bypasses the charts entirely. Stamped directly onto his chest is a precise geometric grid of severe circular burn marks. For the attending physicians, this specific combination of extreme weight loss, a collapsing immune system, and geometric burns defies any standard diagnosis. Medically speaking, it points to exactly one scenario. The patient has suffered a massive, targeted exposure to a highly radioactive object. In the 1950s and 60s, a typical UFO report relied on blurry photographs or distant lights in the sky. Ever since pilot Kenneth Arnold reported seeing flying saucers in 1947, the cultural obsession was entirely focused on the clouds. The man in the hospital, Stefan Michalak, brought the phenomenon down to earth. His encounter left permanent physical scars. Today, we are going to reverse engineer the most extensively documented anomalous encounter in medical and military history. Because to understand how those mysterious burns got onto Michalak's chest, we simply can't look up at the sky. We have to analyze the metallurgical and radioactive footprints left behind in the dirt. The physical timeline starts in May 1967, deep inside Canada's Whiteshell Provincial Park. Stephen was out there methodically chipping away at quartz, prospecting for silver. He was a professional mechanic and a survivor of a World War II Nazi camp. He had seen the absolute worst of humanity, making him a highly practical, blue-collar man who did not panic easily. While working, a sudden disturbance scattered a nearby flock of birds. Looking up, Stephen observed two glowing, cigar-shaped crafts descending. One hovered momentarily before shooting back up into the clouds, while the other touched down on a flat expanse of rock nearby, its shape shifting to a flatter disc as it landed. Instead of running, Stephen watched it with the analytical eye of a mechanic. He noticed the smooth, metallic hull actively shifting color, from a searing, glowing red down to orange, and finally settling into a dull, solid gray. He correctly deduced exactly what was happening: rapid cooling. The object was bleeding off immense heat. He pulled out a notepad and began sketching it. He noted that for 1967, the engineering was impossible. The surface was highly reflective and perfectly smooth, completely devoid of seams, rivets, or visible exhaust ports. Stephen approached the situation exactly as a mechanic trying to reverse engineer an incredibly advanced piece of machinery. Curious, he walked closer. To protect his eyes from the intense light spilling out of an open panel, he slipped on a pair of dark, vintage welding goggles. Hearing a muffled hum and strange voices inside, Stephen called out, offering help in 6 different languages. He received absolutely no response. He reached out to inspect the material. As his thick industrial rubber glove made contact with the flawless, curved metal, it instantly blistered and melted, fusing directly to the hyperheated surface. The machine reacted immediately. The open panel snapped shut, and the entire craft rotated. A geometric grid of holes aligned perfectly with Stephen's chest, blasting him directly with a forceful gust of superheated, radioactive gas that instantly set his shirt on fire. As the craft lifted off and vanished, Stephen was left violently ill and burning. That single, split-second physical interaction permanently dragged his story out of the realm of folklore and turned it into a tangible forensic crime scene. Canadian and U.S. Air Force investigators quickly took over the case. An officer named Paul Biskey eventually tracked down the exact landing site deep in the Whiteshell Woods. Looking at the schematic map, tests revealed a glowing, high-concentration circle of radium burned into the earth at the exact landing coordinates. And exactly 1 year later, investigators discovered highly radioactive silver rods wedged tightly into a fissure inside that same circle. This radioactive earth connected directly back to the collapsing white blood cell counts on Stephen's medical chart. Whatever blasted him in those woods left a permanent, highly dangerous physical footprint on the planet. Stephen survived the initial dose of radiation, but the physical consequences never ended. For the next 30 years, every few months, that exact geometric grid pattern would spontaneously blister and re-emerge on his chest as angry red welts, completely baffling medical experts across North America. Yet, despite the ongoing medical trauma, Stephen maintained absolute integrity. He never wrote a book, he never made a single dollar off his story. He quietly paid his own medical bills out of pocket until he passed away at the age of 83. His refusal to profit from his trauma serves as the strongest anchor for his credibility. He didn't want fame, he just wanted a doctor to explain his burns. The government never could. Despite generating a massive 300-page dossier, multiple military branches and investigative agencies could find no earthly explanation for what happened that day. They simply classified the files and closed the case. Decades later, the story reached a perfectly ironic conclusion. In 2018, the very same Canadian government that buried the case minted a commemorative, glow-in-the-dark silver coin, officially honoring Stephen's encounter. The grounded, practical mechanic who walked into the woods looking for silver finally got it, and in doing so, his radioactive mystery was solidified into national history.